you've got 18 months to get your church ready for revival. In the spring of 2023, I got a text message from a friend who was over in the US to say the Holy Spirit is being poured out on, of all places, a little town outside of Lexington, Kentucky called Asbury. Asbury, I'd been to it. It's a kind of white picket fences, a theological college, not much in Asbury to look at. But the Spirit of God had just poured out one day in a university, college, chapel campus where a dozen or so students had gathered. And within about 2 days, the sense of the presence of God had increased so much that literally tens of thousands of people were queuing day and night to get into this room, not much bigger than this. I had the privilege of being able to witness this. A friend of mine messaged, said, look, you should come and pray. We need some people to help pray. And I ended up going with my friend Steve. We got on a plane, ended up catching what God was doing there. And if I'm honest with you, I was a little bit like excited to go and see an outpouring of the Holy Spirit for myself. If God's doing something new, I want in on it. A little bit like arriving at Spring Harvest. I was like, it's going to be amazing. Maybe there's a water slide. I don't know what's going to happen. You know, we're going to turn up. It's going to be really exciting. I shut the door of the hire car that we'd hired in the parking lot, like 500 meters away from the main gathering. And here's what I didn't reckon on. When God shows up in a moment in history with sovereign presence in a place, it is utterly terrifying. So I shut the door on my car hire and I stood there in the parking lot going, oh, this is not a drill. You could sense the presence of God 500 meters away. And it wasn't comfortable. It wasn't like Disneyland or Butlins. It was like, oh, I need to get right with God. I went into that gathering. I remember just spending 2 or 3 days just on my face under the glory of God, weeping, repenting, crying out, God, don't pass us by in England. Don't pass us by in London. You know, where we are in East London, one of the poorest neighborhoods in the country, some of the highest child poverty, knife crime. In fact, the church I lead is on a street which is nicknamed Murder Mile, so you can work that one out. And I was like, God, we need you here. I got back on the plane, having spent 3 days just in the presence of God, witnessing what I believe is just a supernatural outpouring of God. And I was like, God, I felt this grief. If I'm honest with you, I wept my way across the Atlantic. I was sitting next to my mate Steve, we're right in the back of the plane. The air stewardess thought Steve and I had a breakup. I was sobbing all the way. She goes, honey, are you okay? And I was like, God, I just don't want to go through the motions. I need you to be in the room, Jesus. I can't pastor. I can't do all the things I'm trying to do without your presence. So I'm sitting there weeping, and I felt the Holy Spirit say 2 things to me. Number 1, Al, you've got 18 months to get your church ready for revival. Now, I've taught on the prophetic. I do a kind of workshop for our ministry team on words of knowledge and the prophetic and listening. And one of the things I say in the talk was we never give like dates. You know, when we're prophesying, we never say. So obviously the Holy Spirit hasn't read my seminar on the prophetic. Because I had this conversation, I was like, Lord, you know how, we don't do dates, it's Saint, we just, But I was like, that's a way, it has to be the Holy Spirit. I'd never make that up. Why would I, 18 months to get ready for revival? What does that mean? So I get my iPad out on the plane and I get the little tray table and I clear away the cans of Coke and the pretzels and I start making a list. Right, okay, we better have like extra, who are the guys, are they the stewards in the yellow jackets? Can we give it up for the stewards? We love the stewards. Love you guys. We're gonna need you guys. If we're gonna have a revival, we're gonna need stewards. And then we better have some like cameras and like, the worship team, our worship team, we haven't, maybe we could get like an upgrade, like a Spring Harvest upgrade to the worship team. You ever feel like that? It's like, these guys, where are they on Sunday next week? Could they come with us? So I'm making a list of like things we could do differently. Parking, we need more parking. And then I felt the Holy Spirit say the second thing. And this is where it gets serious, guys. I felt the Lord say this, Al, with a little faint giggle, Al, change nothing but your heart. Ooh, now, friends, that's the hard bit, right? Really easy to make a list. Prepare the way for the Lord, change your heart. That is something else. Here's what I want to talk to you about tonight. I want to talk to you about preparing the way for the Lord because I believe that God is going to move in your life, in your church, in your village, in your town, in your city, in this generation.